Making music is hard. Or is it? Yes, but I'm going to do my best in today's video to show you the absolute basics of FL Studio so you can get creating as quickly as possible. I'm going to do my best to simplify this. Let's get straight into it. So this video is obviously targeted at beginners. There might be some tips in this video that you can get if you're not even a beginner. What? There might be some tips here that are not just for beginners and you might actually learn something. There's timestamps in the description. Alright, cool. So you've loaded up FL Studio for the first time and you're looking at my screen like, why is it different? In FL Studio 21, there's a new feature called themes. This is what default FL Studio looks like. But yeah, you can adjust your theme in here to give you the look that you want. So if you come up to the top left here, you see we've got file, edit, add, patterns, view, options, tools, and help. Now, I'm not going to go in depth in every single setting, but I'm just going to do the basics. First things first, we're going to open file. And here, yours will say new template. I'm going to go ahead and open up the default template for FL Studio. So this is most likely what you'll see when you first boot up FL Studio. I'm pretty sure it is this one. Correct me if I'm wrong. We also have open here where you can open your projects. We have save, save as, and save new version. Pretty self-explanatory here. You know, you save and then you can save as. So saving is saving the project. Saving as means you can select where it is. When you press save initially, it tells you a location. I mean, I'm assuming that you've used a computer before. Save new version just copies a new version in that same location. We're not going to get into import in this video. And we're going to do export later when we've made a song. If you go over to add, you'll see all of your plugins in here, which we'll get into in a second. We're going to skip patterns for now. View, this is where you can select what you're viewing. So if I click mixer, it's going to bring up the mixer track. Now this will be attached like this. But we don't really use this. If we go to options, this is where we can change our settings, but when you're just first learning how to do it, we don't really want to get into all of that. So let's get into the important stuff. Up here, we have our tempo, also known as your BPM, which is how fast the beat is. So this is 130 beats per minute. So every minute, 130 beats will be played. Let's listen to it. This button here is our metronome. You can right click to change the type of metronome. I like the hi-hat. This pattern and song switches between the display here on the actual song and the pattern here, which we'll get into in a second. This is our record button. So this button here controls the metronome. Let's get into the important stuff now, actually making the music. Now, if you notice here, this button views the playlist. This here is your playlist. So this is where all your sounds will go to create the final product. If you click on here, this is the piano roll. This is where you can hand select notes to be played in a pattern. The next button here that we have is the channel rack. The channel rack is where all your sounds are, and you can use this feature to draw in notes like this. If you right click on a sound, you have a couple options as well. The ones we want to focus on are fill each 2, 4, and 8 steps. We're going to click fill each 2 steps. Cool. So that's the channel rack. Next up, we have the mixer track. Now this is where you'll route all your sounds to. If we go back to the channel rack here, you can see these each have numbers next to it. You can scroll these, and as you can see in the background, it's changing the highlighted track. If I put in a basic pattern here, you can see that my sounds are displaying on the mixer track. Now I can adjust these levels like so. Next up, we have the plugin picker. So let's click this. What this does is this shows the browser on the left. Now I always have this turned on, but this is where you're going to access all your sounds. To input your sounds in FL Studio, go up to options, file settings, and then click a little folder icon here. You can now browse all your files and then hit select folder at the bottom to add it here. I've added my folder called packs. Now if we open up packs, then we can see all of my sounds are here. Now I have quite a lot of sounds. If you're a beginner in music production, definitely download Cymatics packs. They're free and they're good to get you started. I have this cool one-shot pack. To add in the sound, Right click and click open in new channel. Now if we go ahead and go over to our channel rack here, we can see that our sound has been added. Now when you just draw in notes on this thing here, it's only going to play the note C. To actually get our ideas onto the pattern, we're going to go ahead and click on our sound by hitting right click and then heading over to piano roll here. Now we're able to actually draw in notes. So you can hold right click and drag to delete sounds and just hit left click to add them. Then once you're here, you can change how long the sound is. And you can also change how hard the sound is being pressed, also known as the velocity, by adjusting this here. Let's make a really simple melody. You're welcome to follow along. This is not going to be an amazing beat by any standards, but this will get you into the process of starting to actually create things, which is the best way to improve. If you hit Control A and Control B, you can copy along instantly like this. And now we have a really basic song. Sounds awful. Now we're going to add in some of our own sounds. So we're going to find a nice kick. This one's nice. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click and drag and place it over our kick here. Now let's play it. This sounds awful. Don't worry, the first things you will make will probably sound terrible, but it's a lot of information to get at once. So we're just going to get into the habit of, using the channel rack, using the piano roll. You know what I'm saying? So now let's get into the other sounds. So we just... Now we have a different kind of vibe. Now we've got this, we're going to drag it onto our playlist. We don't want the whole song to just be this single loop. So let's right click up here and click split by channel. This is going to separate it into multiple patterns where we can drag and drop each of them. If you want to make a new pattern in addition to these, click this little plus up here. Now we can name this. And then drag it in here. Now in this pattern, we're going to add some crashes. Now that we've got our crashes in a separate pattern, we can drag this underneath. Now when we play it, they'll all be together. Now these are separate, we can also give it some sort of arrangement. Just like this. You can hold shift and drag to copy. And there we go. Make sure to save and name your project. And then once you're done with the arrangement, we can get into exporting. So congratulations, you've made your first beat. Hopefully you made it this far into the video. If this wasn't simple enough and it did confuse you, let me know in the comments and I can help. But let's go ahead back up to file. We're going to go over to export and we're going to click one of these. Now WAV file is the highest quality file, but also the largest. MP3 is smaller but not as high quality. Now the rest of these I don't really use. We're just going to stick to the basics for now. So let's click WAV file, find a location for this. Now you want to make sure this is on full song and not pattern. Typically you want to cut the remainder. Leave remainder means if any effects like reverb are on it and the sound goes past, it won't cut it out. But this will cut right up to here. You want to make sure this is 32 and stereo and essentially just copy these settings. If you want an in-depth tutorial on what this all does and means, then let me know and I can go through each of the files. Once that's done, make sure you click start. There you go. Your first beat is here. I hope you learned something today and you can actually start making things in FL Studio. It's a great piece of tool. It's a great tool to make quality music, but we've all got to start from somewhere. So let's start from here together. You got this, and I'll catch you next time. I've never said that before. This is not my thing. I don't know what. Bye. Oh, shit. Wait.